For us in D.C. Molly, thank you. Let's get some context and perspective on this now. Joining us now, security expert Manny Gomez. He's a former special agent for the FBI. Mr. Gomez, thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you for having me.
You heard Molly Henneberg there, and you've heard Claire McCaskill say this time and again. I mean, this company, USIS, got $400 million from the federal government in just the past 2 years. And to think that they're not fully vetting people, these contractors are not being fully vetted is it's just shameless. Absolutely.
This is a situation where clearly this company is taking on too much responsibility and too much work. They're doing well over 50% of the government's background checks. And usually, as we all know, a lot of these government contracts go to lowest bidder. Well, that's fine for a hammer or a refrigerator, but to give somebody access, a clearance to our most secret classified information or access to our government facilities is just unacceptable to be done by a lowest contract type of bidder or a bidder who at this point is clearly overwhelmed. This should be broken up into several other contractors.
Overwhelmed, but the whole thing, the process we're being told was that you tried to speed this whole thing up. It's not like they were overwhelmed because they were meticulously going through each one of these and vetting them. They were rushing them through because if you made $200 million last year and you rush through more, maybe we get 60% of the contracts and we could do $400 million next year. This was clearly a case of not being careful, not as much as not being overwhelmed.
You're absolutely right. This is a case of quantity over quality. They get paid per investigation. So the quicker they get through that investigation and they get paid for it, they go to the next one, and so on and so forth. So just like they missed on Snowden, visiting and interviewing neighbors where he lived in Japan, things of that nature. Obviously, things were missed here. It fell through the cracks. Too much quantity, not enough quality.
Right. So what's the question? You're a security expert, Mr. Gomez. You tell me, what do we do now? For every Snowden and for every Aaron Alexis who got through and did some damage, how many others are out there? And what's the process now? Do we go back and spend hundreds of millions of dollars more re-vetting all the people who have so far been vetted because we're not sure it was done properly?
Well, clearly that would be a near impossible task to do at this point. All we could do is tear this apart, figure out what's wrong with it. Obviously, there's been an epic failure and breakdown as what the process is. And so we have to study how they do this. There has to be accountability. There has to be boxes to check and to ensure that every box is checked before we give any individual access to our facilities and access to our classified information. This wasn't done here. This was obviously a contract that was given to somebody who's just purely interested in making money and not taking care of our most guarded possession, which is our classified information and our access to government facilities.
Former FBI agent Manny Gomez. Mr. Gomez, thank you again, sir.
Thank you again for having me.